Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
All right, happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, continues now. This, my fellow Americans, is the broadcast for July 31st in the year of our Lord 2025. This is Hour 202, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property using the supreme law of the land, the Constitution for the United States of America with its incredible checks and balances, one of the peaceful solutions we still have at our fingertips, with the goal of making sure nobody in America gets too much power. That was the intent of the founders. That's why they created three branches of government. That's why you have the states and the general government with dual sovereignties, delegated responsibilities. It's all designed to divide power to make sure nobody gets too powerful. Yeah, not even the president of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine that. All right, the Trump administration has authorized the deployment of National Guard troops to assist at immigration facilities, at the, quote, ICE immigration facilities, I guess they say in 20 Republican-led states, expanding what they call military involvement in immigration enforcement to boost deportation efforts and to free up agents for raids. The New York Times with this piece. And I find this discussion very fascinating. And I want to know what people think about it because it's very interesting. On one hand, you say, wait a minute, they're using now the military. And what about posse comitatus? What about this idea that you're not supposed to use the military in civilian realms, so to speak? And I understand all that. I tend to think this is fine. I don't believe this violates posse comitatus. You say, what do you mean? Why, Sam? Because think about it. The Trump administration is authorizing the National Guard troops to assist ICE at immigration facilities. So they're not running around in city after city after city. They're in immigration facilities, folks, in 20 Republican-led states. What that means is the state governors or the state, I don't know how they get cooperative permission, but the governors of the states or the legislative bodies of the states are saying that's fine. That's why it's only in 20 states, not 50. Okay? They say expanding military involvement in immigration enforcement. There's never any prohibition about military involvement in immigration enforcement. That's partly the reason that immigration enforcement or the Border Patrol or their national or general government responsibilities, go read your Constitution. They want to boost deportation efforts and get rid of the people who are illegally here. They want to free up agents for raids, they say. So the point is the agents are still doing the raids. Okay? ICE agents are still doing the raids, right? So you want to free up ICE agents to go out in the cities and do the raids. And so they're not literally putting troops in the city. It's also not your typical Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Space Force, whatever. It's National Guard, right? So National Guard troops helping with riots and illegal aliens, and I don't see a lot of problem with a lot of this. Now you say, Sam, it's a fine line, buddy. It can slip and go south quickly. I get it. I understand that it can. But I also understand that we have an invasion. That's the part that most people don't really get. Look, this is not just some illegals crossed our border. No. It's been an invasion for 4 years under Joe Biden. We've literally brought in millions and millions and millions of illegals. Many of them don't have the wherewithal to support themselves, so they're on the dole. They're on the handout. They're on the special privilege wagon, whatever you want to call the thing. And it's a disgrace. It's not acceptable at all. And that's kind of why I'm bringing this up, because I just go, wait a minute, what the heck, right? And that to me is the quintessential point. It's like, I understand you don't want, the military in with the population. But what do you do when you have a former president that literally violated his oath of office? He is supposed to protect us from enemies, foreign and domestic, says his oath of office. And he did nothing but create an invasion. And now we've got illegals, we've got terrorists, we've got who knows who in our country. Terrorist cells, the list goes on and on. We don't even know. We don't have a good handle on it. I mean, Tom Holman and others even said we have no idea who's in America, and we have no idea where they are. And we have no way to find out because of the way the Biden administration went about these things. We've got 300,000 children. We don't even know where they are. Could they be in the Jeffrey Epstein, oh boy, pedophile sex trafficking ring syndicate? Even though Jeff's dead, has it continued? That's been a point that I've made that nobody else seems to be making on the radio or in the media that I can find anywhere else, really. Now, I'm not trying to take singular credit. Maybe there is somebody else out there speaking about it. But look, forget Jeff and how he died. What about the people that are still involved? When Jeff went away, did it just, hey, the whole thing crumbled, it went away, there's no trafficking ring anymore? Or did somebody fill his spot, fill the vacuum? You know, when you look at a gang or a mob or a mafia or whatever else, you know, you find that there's leadership there. And when that leadership gets taken out, there's always somebody, oftentimes much more ruthless, that fills the spot. Right? Could it be that somebody killed Jeffrey Epstein so that they could take his spot? Is the trafficking ring still continuing? See, I'm asking these questions and I don't hear others asking these questions. And I don't really understand why. Am I that out in the weeds and that clueless? Or am I so spot on, no one dare call it a spade? No one dare speak out about it. Anyway, so the Trump administration authorized the deployment of National Guard troops to assist in 20 Republican-led states with ISIS facilities so the ICE agents can go out and conduct more raids. I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely necessary, and I think it's about time. Remember, I've been the guy saying to Tom Holman and Donald Trump, I love what you're doing. I support you 1,000%, but we've got to step it up, brethren. We've got to step it up, gentlemen. I've been the one saying that for quite some time. Because look, if you brought in, just say 15 million illegals in 4 years under Biden, just say 16 to make it simple, 16 million in 4 years by Biden, you got to get rid of 4 million illegals a year just to break even after the end of Trump's term. That doesn't get rid of a lot of the illegals that were here before Biden went on a psychotic bender to partner in this nation's invasion. See, Trump ought to put Biden up on criminal charges for that. How dare you let the border leak like a sieve? How dare you partner in bringing illegals in without vetting, without safety concerns, without, national security concern? How dare you do that? Well, nothing's happening to Biden, and nothing's happening really to very many of the illegals unless we start to crank it up, turn it up, if you will. So anyway, I commend the Trump administration. Do I have worries that posse comitatus is at stake? Well, as long as they're using the National Guard troops, as long as states are agreeing with this, I think you got the general government and the states partnering. You got local sheriffs partnering. So when you have multiple jurisdictions agreeing to work together for something, it means it's needful, it's significant. It also means that, hey, people are doing their very best to worry about and be concerned about the checks and balances. That's why we're not in all 50 states forcing the issue. We're saying, hey, the states that are willing to cooperate. Now, the other thing I find interesting about this story, or I should say sad or whatever you want to call it, it says this is all happening with the National Guard's troops helping the Trump administration at immigration facilities. They say in 20 Republican-led states. So now we're back to this partisan politics. The parties are going to destroy America if we let them, folks. Listen to me. Why is it only 20 Republican states? Well, because there's a few Republican holdouts, Sam, that won't go along. They're really Republicans in sheep's clothing, kind of. They're really Democrats, or they're really liberal or center, whatever you want to call them, against Trump, anti-Trumpers, whatever. And then you got all these Democrats that are just lockstep for their party. Either way, the bottom line is, hey, we need to get rid of these illegal aliens here, especially the criminal ones. We need to start to prioritize, and hey, if you're really on a farm and you're helping out a farmer and he can vouch for you, let's get those people above board. Don't give them amnesty. Give them fines. Their employers can help pay their fines. That can come out of their paycheck as a garnishee of their wages. There's a lot of ways to go about it, right? But let them pay a fine to society for their, jumping the line, for them being in America illegally. And let's get them above board. And let's crack down hard on the criminals. And let's work our way from the good guy side, those who came here, as little kids, DACA children that may not be as responsible as many others. The good side, let's reward those people and bring them to the service. Then the bad side, let's prosecute. And let's work our way to the middle with a justice and mercy plan, shall we? Anyway, good for Donald Trump. Shame on those critics. Let's stand together for the sacred cause of liberty, shall we?
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character, where educating both hearts and minds brings about academic excellence. There is a school in American Fork where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. Based on LDS principles and a love of country, now in our 39th year, American Heritage School is accepting fall enrollment for kindergarten through high school. What would you do for your child? Give them an education that will prepare them for life. Located east of the Temple in American Fork, American Heritage School is a remarkable and affordable alternative. Visit us, find us online, or in the Yellow Pages. American Heritage School in American Fork.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Understand that oftentimes government fills in where we the people fail, okay? So when we blame ourselves for a lot of government involvement in our lives, or, blame government, we need to blame ourselves, really. Government oftentimes finds where there's a lack of whatever, and they fill in. So just take the Trump administration authorizing the deployment of National Guard troops to help ICE agents. People are freaking out, going, oh my gosh, the military is doing this. No, wait a minute. Why did we sit by while Joe Biden brought in how many ever illegals? We don't even know the number. 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, who knows? Why did we sit back for 4 years and let the president do that? The American people should have been literally rioting to Congress. And I don't mean violently. I just mean saying, you know what? You have got to stop this. Stop the president. Impeach him. Do something. We got to. Well, nobody did anything. The American people sat back and went, golly, the border leaks like a sieve and it's violent and it really sucks. It's horrible. What do we do? Congress sat idly by and did nothing, even though Congress has more to do with the appropriate relationship between illegal and legal people coming to the United States. Congress has a duty there. They sat back and sat on their hands and spit us into oblivion and did nothing. See? And so we've really got to start to look at ourselves in the mirror and go, man, what are we going to do about some of this stuff? I'll give you an example. General Michael Flynn, my dear friend, is speaking out boldly, nobly, independently, and good for him for doing it. General Michael Flynn demands prosecution of Obama and the deep state. Yeah, and the deep state minions for conspiring to overthrow the United States. We now need to see some, quote, accountability. The GatewayPundit.com has this. Jim Hoft over there doing a great job. Retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn President Trump's former national security advisor and one of the most, listen, and one of the most persecuted patriots of the Russiagate hoax. Think about what I've just said there. This guy was President Trump's former national security advisor. He's a decorated lieutenant general. He's one of the most persecuted patriots of the, quote, Russiagate hoax. He issued a fiery call for justice on Tuesday, demanding the immediate prosecution of Barack Obama and his deep state allies for a, quote, criminal conspiracy to overthrow the United States government and sabotage the will of the American people back in 2016. Now, I think Flynn is absolutely spot on. It goes on, this big article. And they've had these meetings that have been documented now. Barack Obama, all these other clowns. And portions of the emails that have been released relating to these meetings confirmed. So this is Rice that's confirming this, I guess. That former Lieutenant General Flynn was specifically targeted in a coup, and the plot was from the highest levels of the White House just weeks before President Trump took office. Flynn singled out Attorney General Pam Bondi now with a, quote, direct appeal. We now need to see some accountability, says Flynn. I can't agree more. I really can't. I think Flynn is right on. Where is Pam Bondi? Let's go. And so I appreciate Flynn singling out Pam Bondi, not because I want to attack her, but the direct appeal. We now need to see some accountability. Man, this is what I've been calling for forever. And General Flynn literally doubling down, going, I was the key person being attacked. In addition to Donald Trump, I was key in this. And it virtually ruined my whole life. I mean, Mike Flynn, General Flynn even made a movie about it, for crying out loud. In his viral post on X, Flynn wrote, subject, conspiracy to overthrow the United States of America. By now, if you're caught up on this, you should realize that Barack Obama and his minions conspired to overthrow the United States of America, the presidency of the United States, and undermine the majority of Americans that voted for President Trump back in 2016. These are very serious charges and or allegations. Hey, so he does @ Pam Bondi, so highlight. We now need to see some accountability. In a separate post, the decorated general wrote, when will someone finally be held accountable? The American people have shown remarkable patience. They have listened to the rhetoric, witnessed rampant corruption, and suffered under a two-tiered justice system that protects the elite while punishing everyone else. Amen to Michael Flynn. Enough is enough. We can no longer tolerate cover-ups. Man, I just can't disagree with anything he's saying here. We can no longer tolerate these cover-ups. Meaningless special investigations or endless congressional testimony. The evidence, says Flynn, is undeniable. Wow. I think he's spot on. And I don't really know what to do about it except for to promote him and praise him and say he's right. My question is, when are we going to see something happen? Accountability is no longer optional. It is now required, says Flynn. I agree. Now, Mike Flynn, believe it or not, is going to be attending and speaking at an interesting conference I learned about that I thought I'd tell you about. He'll be one of the featured guest speakers at what they call the most important Congress of the decade. What's it called? It's called Vindicated. America's heroes who stood up to the deep state. The event is presented by the Gateway Pundit. It's going to be in Las Vegas. And then they say, buy your tickets here, and they give you a spot to buy tickets. Go to thegatewaypundit.com, and you can look it all up. But I bring this up because I think it's really critical. You say, when is this conference? As far as I understand, it's on August is it the 12th and 13th? Let me look real quick here. I think it's the 12th and the 13th of August. Let's see. Okay, let's see. America First Vindicated Conference. Oh, I guess it's August the 9th, Saturday, and August the 10th, Sunday. And you can go to americafirstgroundzero.com if you want to learn more about it. Anyway, I'm just telling you, it's a great event. I don't know if I'll be attending it or not. Probably not. I just don't know that I've got time to scramble and make changes to my schedule to get that done. But I commend Mike Flynn for speaking. I think it's a great conference. I think it's needed. I think it's totally needed. But I don't know, how many people know about it. America First groundzero.com is where you can go to get more, to learn more, whatever about it. So I think Michael Flynn's right. When are we going to prosecute? I'm sick of hearing. I'm absolutely sick of hearing. Let's see here. Dang it. No thanks. I don't want to set up voice access. So now Microsoft launched an application that just got in my way. Anyway, sorry about that. Understand that Mike Flynn's right. And I'm sick of hearing about scandal after scandal. Everybody's in a scandal. Everybody should be investigated. Everybody needs to be looked into. Everybody. And then it's all partisan. Well, if you're on this side of the aisle, you're going to protect him. And if you're on that side of the aisle, you're going after him. And then, we find it gets turned around. And pretty soon the protectors are going after whoever. The Democrats are the ones going, we want to see the Epstein files now. And the Republicans are going, no, how dare you? You weren't asking about it 4 years ago. And then they all get in this big old battle. Look, let's be clear. Just take the last two presidents. You had Joe Biden 4 years and you had Trump 4 years. Neither of them took action on the Epstein files. You say, fine, what about before that? Okay, Barack Obama. Before that, George Bush. Neither of them took action on the Epstein files. So it's not a Republicans are getting to the bottom of it and Democrats are holding it up. That's a lie. It's just a manipulation of what we're going to talk about. Who, when, right? Kash Patel's in the news. I think he's doing a great job. We'll talk about that coming up. Again, I appreciate all the work Kash is doing, but unless we start throwing crooks in jail, doesn't hold a lot of weight with me. Great work, but you got to, what do you want to say, punch the tape, cross the finish line? Come on now. I'm Sam Bushman. Hang tight. Liberty Roundtable Live in seconds. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use. Always at your fingertips at lovingliberty.net.
Proclaiming liberty across the land. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump says the naysayers got it wrong, predicting the Trump tariffs would sink the U.S. economy. But the president says the economy is in great shape, as evidenced by the latest surprisingly strong report on the GDP. And while the president's call for the Fed to lower interest rates has again fallen on deaf ears, economist Gus Fauché says that some Fed board members agree with the president.
We did see two members of the Board of Governors dissent and call for a rate cut. President Trump has been very aggressively arguing that the Fed needs to cut rates, and we did see two participants vote for rate cuts, and so that does suggest that the president's pressure campaign is having an impact.
Meanwhile, an inflation gauge that's watched closely by the Fed did rise 2.6% year over year last month. That's up from a 2.3% increase in the PCE index in the month of May. South Korea, the latest country to sign a trade deal with the U.S., calling for a 15% tariff on South Korean imports. President Trump says South Korea also agrees to buy American energy and will invest $350 billion in the U.S. An arrest in the murder of a mother and father killed in front of their two young children.
Arkansas State Police special agents have arrested James Andrew McGann, 28, of Springdale. He's been charged with 2 counts of capital murder in the deaths of Clinton David Brink and Kristen Amanda Brink. Clinton and Kristen were killed on Saturday, July 26, 2025, at Devil's Den State Park.
Arkansas State Police Colonel Mike Hager heard there on KHBS KHOG. The youngsters, ages 7 and 9, were not injured. The suspect charged with 2 counts of capital murder, no word on a motive. Watching Wall Street now, the Dow is down 10 points, NASDAQ up 157. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-226-5454. That's 800-226-5454. 800-226-5454.
As the United States boldly stepped forward in the glorious light provided by its new Constitution in 1787, the nations of the earth were in awe of the newfound strength and hope of this free land. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. A divergence from the original intent put forth in the United States Constitution has brought grave threats to our beloved nation. A miracle is needed if the United States is to survive. That miracle is again the pure application of the United States Constitution. I'm Scott Bradley. In my To Preserve the Nation book and lecture series, I bring forth truths that will help raise up a new generation of statesmen like those noble Americans who founded this land. Vigorous application of these principles will invigorate and restore the nation, and we may become again the freest, most prosperous, most respected, and happiest nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com to begin that restoration.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Step into the boots of the American West with Range Magazine, where grit meets grace. This is a front row seat to the stories, struggles, and triumphs of ranchers, farmers, and stewards of the land. From jaw-dropping photography to no-nonsense reporting, Range brings you the untold tales of life on the range. Whether you're a city dweller with a cowboy's heart or living life where the pavement ends, Range speaks to the soul of the West. Subscribe today at rangemagazine.com.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
All right, a headline just popped in that I think is worthy of discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Right when I told you Mike Flynn is saying we got to have accountability and they attacked him, and now we basically find out Mike Flynn says enough is enough. We can no longer tolerate cover-ups, meaningless special investigations, or endless congressional testimony. The evidence is undeniable. Well, the evidence is getting stronger by the very second, ladies and gentlemen. Headline says declassified Durham report, I guess, exposes George Soros's connection to Russiagate. Wow. Think about that for a minute. Declassified Durham's report. Annex allegedly exposes George Soros. So now you got George Soros involved in Russiagate. How come we haven't heard about this? Russiagate happened like 8 years ago or something, right? Why are we just finding out that George Soros was involved? Answer, because I think there's actually some good people, even though we're frustrated with them over the Epstein thing. Set that aside for just a second and say they're bringing up important issues. They're bringing out facts and information. The only question I have left as I praise them for truth-telling on this is, will you really bring it home? Think of it as a baseball game for a minute. You know, you work really hard and you get bases loaded, and then the next guy's up the bat and you think you're going to get a home run. You think you're going to get scores on first, on second, on third, and the home run hitter. You think you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 points out of it, right? Are they really going to bring us home is the question. Or are they just going to tell you, oh, there's a scandal, George Soros was involved, Nancy Pelosi's on the take, all these people are bad guys, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, everyone was involved, Joe Biden, but we can't do anything. Or we researched and it's not worth pursuing. Or instead of locking them up, leave them alone, or whatever. Is that what we're going to do? Sadly, that's what I kind of believe we're going to do, because that's all I've seen us do. All right, there's a great headline over at yournews.com I want to highlight as well, related to this very same topic. Headline says, Kash Patel uncovers trove of Trump-Russia documents. It's hoax documents that I guess were held in a secret FBI room. He hands them over to Chuck Grassley. Now, I really appreciate that. I'm glad that, they found them. I'm glad that they told us they found them. I don't really understand how they can just be in a secret room, though. I mean, is government so big to where we have no idea? You just got secret rooms all over full of documents? Somebody needs to kind of make me comfortable there, because if you found one group of documents in a secret room, how many groups of documents, how many treasure troves, documents are there in secret FBI rooms? It's a fair question, isn't it? Anyway, I digress, except for, hey, it just points to a much bigger, never-ending scandal. How many secret rooms of documents are there, gentlemen? Just wondering. FBI Director Kash Patel has reportedly now uncovered a cache of sensitive documents tied to the origins of the now discredited Trump-Russia investigation. Many with direct knowledge of the discovery are speaking out under conditions of anonymity, telling us some of this. The documents, sources say, were hidden inside a secret room at FBI headquarters, locked away in multiple burn bags. Those are containers normally reserved for the destruction of, quote, classified material. Are you getting uncomfortable fast? I am. What do you mean hidden inside a secret room, locked away in multiple burn bags? That just shows me intent to destroy evidence. This is where we mean when General Michael Flynn says the evidence is beyond. What was the term he used? Enough is enough. The evidence is undeniable, is what he said. Boy, howdy, when you're releasing information, as Kash Patel saying, hey, we got a bunch of documents hidden in a secret room. They were all in burn bags ready to be destroyed. Those are containers normally reserved for the destruction of classified information, so they were ready to destroy. The documents, they say, are now under review, with significant portions set to be declassified and turned over to the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley. They say a longstanding advocate for accountability. I don't know about that. But what I just find this fascinating. Among the most explosive findings was the classified annex to former special counsel John Durham's final report. Yeah. That annex, long shielded from public view, is now in the process of being declassified in coordination with senior national security officials like John Ratcliffe, CIA director, right? Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and NSA Director William Hartman. According to individuals familiar with the contents, the annex includes intelligence collected before the FBI formally launched its Crossfire Hurricane investigation into alleged links between whatever and Russia. The reason I say whatever in Russia is because they're saying that it's Trump and Russia. But now we're really finding out that it's very likely George Soros, Russia, Hillary, and Barack. The intelligence report warned of a, quote, coordinated effort within the federal government to amplify unsubstantiated claims of collusion efforts, all designed to benefit the Clinton campaign in 2016. One source had to speak under conditions of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the material. Yeah. There was a coordinated plan on the U.S. government trying to connect Russia to Trump. The implications, they say, could be significant for key Obama intelligence officials. It's really hard to see how these guys are going to explain this away, one source said. Now, Kash Patel, who served as a, quote, senior national security official and legal advisor during the first Trump administration, discussed the discovery in a June interview, revealing that they had a whole room that was, listen, concealed from oversight. That's my point. Wait a minute. You got a room that's sealed, that there's no oversight? Who, and here's the question for you, Kash Patel, who has control of that room then? Yeah, who has control of that room? If it's blocked from oversight, who's doing the blocking? These documents were hidden in this secret room. Just think about this, Kash Patel says. Me, as director of the FBI, when I first got to the Bureau, I found a room that Comey and others hid from the world in the Hoover Building. Wow. Full of documents and computer hard drives that no one has even heard of. The treasure trove of information, reportedly consisting of thousands of pages and digital files, they say, is now under review. With some of the documents tied to the early days of investigation, but many of them not even discussed. Grassley, who has repeatedly requested documents, is expected to play a central role in bringing forth the classified materials to light. Patel's findings have added fuel to growing concerns among conservatives that federal institutions have been weaponized to pursue political agendas under the guise or the lie of national security. As the annex makes its way to Congress, questions now loom over how so much intelligence can be hid for so long. Let's talk about it in seconds. You're listening to the one and only Liberty RoundTable Live radio talk show.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
This is a battle between truth and deceit. A battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com. All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. So much going on in the news, it's not even funny. It's just crazy. So I support Kash Patel. I commend him for finding this treasure trove of documents in a special room in the Hoover building that's been basically prevented from being noticed. I appreciate that. And I, don't understand how you can have a secret room with files in burn bags ready to be destroyed. When Donald Trump says, hey, we don't have evidence Democrats have tampered with things, to the point of, he's probably right. At the point is, in my opinion, that only adds fuel to the growing concerns among conservatives that federal institutions have been weaponized to pursue political agendas under the guise of national security. See, that's the real deal. And I've been the one saying this is a national security concern over and over. When it's Biden's incompetency because he doesn't know where he's at, all the way to this. They say as the annex makes its way to Congress, questions now loom over how such intelligence could be hidden for so long and what political consequences will relate to its release. I think it's a fair point. And all I can tell you is it's a sad tale to tell. But we're seeing it real time, and we pray that Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, President Donald J. Trump, and others truly demand accountability. It's not time to wither. It's not time for the faint-hearted, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to double down and create accountability. These Republicans and Democrats who are part of the deep state should never be allowed to continue. Okay? That's just the bottom line. And General Flynn speaking out about it, nobly, boldly, independently, and I, at Liberty RoundTable Live, I'm doing the same thing. When are we going to have prosecutions? Is the evidence that clear that Barack Obama did these things? Does he have protection as president to do them? I don't think so. I know they say there's immunity for presidents, but I'm not buying this one. When you literally create a scenario where you create a false narrative and then you use the force of government and partnership with media to peddle those lies, to peddle that fake news, when you literally hide documents from agencies, declassified Durham report, laying this out, okay? I'm telling you right now, this is serious business. All right, moving to another story. We'll keep an eye on that ball, just for you, by the way. The guy's name is Mayor Patrick Collins. He's of Cheyenne, Wyoming. You probably haven't heard of him. Patrick Collins, mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming. I guess he revealed plans for an AI data center. They say that will consume more electricity than the entire residential usage in the state. Wow. So you're talking about they're going to create a new AI center that's going to suck more power in Cheyenne, Wyoming, suck more power than the whole state currently uses now. The project is a collaboration between a group called Tallgrass and Crusoe. It starts at 1.8 gigawatts of electricity, eventually reaching 10 gigawatts of electricity, which they say is over twice the 43.2 terawatt hours currently generated by Wyoming. Whoa. Yeah, this is serious business. And Mayor Patrick said there's plans for this to happen. The data center, they say, will produce its own power because the demand is too high for the public grid. They're going to use dedicated gas generation along with renewable sources, they claim. I'm not sure what that means. If they can generate their own power, the question is, can a lot of us generate our own power? Can I set up my own natural gas power generating system? Can I set up my own small nuclear reactor generating system? I don't think so. But I guess these guys have their own special, permission to produce this. Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon supports the project for what they call its potential boost to the state's natural gas industry. That's interesting, huh? Governor's aboard. The mayor is aboard. The proposed site for the data center is near Cheyenne, just south of the Colorado border on US 85. Cheyenne, believe it or not, is not new to this gig, Cheyenne, Wyoming. They have hosted Microsoft and Meta data centers since 2012. This just represents a significant increase in scale, is what they're saying. They have not disclosed the ultimate user of the data center's computing power. However, there's speculation about connection to the OpenAI startup. Remember, OpenAI just recently began operating a large data center in Texas, and they have plans for direct expansions all over the place, Michigan and other places, but Wyoming was not listed among that group, so it may not be OpenAI is the point. At the end of the day, it's what a sad tale. Not sad that they're getting nuclear power, or they're getting this grid and this upgrade in AI. That's not the sad tale. The sad tale in my mind is that we are being told a lie on global warming. That it's humans that are warming up the planet. That in order to stop that, we can't have, natural gas or fossil fuels or whatever. We've got to have new energy. Because the lie is that new energy can work. It can't work reliably and consistently enough to generate even close to the amount of power we're talking about. Think about the comparison we just heard about in Wyoming to make the point. You're literally going to create a data center that will consume more electricity than the entire residential use or usage in the state of Wyoming. So Wyoming's going to need massive power. Way more. Way more, right? They say it's going to be double the current uses of Wyoming. So if I understand this right, 2/3 of Wyoming's power usage will be AI. 1/3 will be, day-to-day use from consumers. But what happens when everybody starts plugging in their cars, man? Now they say the data center will produce its own power. It's got to be off the grid. Its demands are greater than the grid can even handle. So I appreciate that they want to promote the natural gas industry in Wyoming. I appreciate they want to roll this out. I don't really have a problem with them doing this. But I will say it's just shocking to me a little bit that we just allow this to continue without, in my opinion, dealing with the truth. What do I mean by that? Well, here's what I'm saying. You cannot fix the economy, as we mentioned first hour, without dealing with the Federal Reserve. You can't ignore the elephant in the room. Well, the same is true with this discussion about, we're going to bring online all this power and we're going to bring AI, and AI's use is crazy, and you got AI use and Bitcoin use and data mining use and this and that and the other, and plugging in cars. I mean, our demand for energy is going through the roof, people. And if you're going to be honest and say we're going to have to crank up nuclear and crank up all the power opportunities we have, coal-fired power plants, clean, natural gas plants, nuclear plant, wind, everything we can, then you're on track. But when you kind of start to say, we got to have renewable energy, these people are crazy, and, we're going to try and do this with new energies or whatever else, you're lying to yourself. It isn't true. And it isn't true that the American people are responsible for the global warming, like, hey, because we live and burp and breathe and that we're causing it. It's not true. And so I'm saying you got to get the fake news portion of this gone. And the sooner we can stand up and jettison the fake news portion of this, the greater chance we'll have for action. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard in the news again, and she did not rule out the possibility that infamous pedophile Jeffrey Epstein had connections to foreign intelligence services or operations before his death. She wouldn't rule that out. She also explained details on what she referred to as a, quote, treasonous plot against President Donald Trump. Now, she was asked directly if Epstein had any known ties to either foreign or domestic, intelligence services. And she said, I haven't seen any evidence or information that reflects that. If anything that comes before me that changes that in any way, I support the president's statement loud and clear. Anything that comes forward, we want to be promoting and publishing and letting everybody know about, she said. Now, again, I commend Tulsi Gabbard because I don't believe that she's lying. She's built my trust by stepping up to the plate with a lot of these discussions. Okay? She's brought more forward for accountability here than anybody else so far. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt is what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm saying good for Tulsi. And she hasn't seen any evidence yet, but you know what? We've got a big old room full of files and hard drives and data that we've got to sift through to find out. I get that and support that. But if anything changes, Tulsi, I hope you keep us up to date. We the people need to know. And then we the people need to demand accountability and transparency. General Michael Flynn is spot on this one, baby. All right, that's hour 1 and hour 2 in the can. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. Hopefully it was educational and entertaining. Check out my website, libertyroundtable.com, for live and on-demand radio and videos. You can also check it out at lovingliberty.net, where you got around-the-clock incredible talk radio. Lovingliberty.net. Download the iPhone app, the Android app, or listen online at lovingliberty.net. God save our republic.